Hello. Okay, so I figured it would be nice and helpful and welcoming to have a channel intro and speak a little bit about who I am and what I want this space to be and what the vision and the intention that I hold around it. Um, and yeah, hopefully, if we pray to the algorithm gods, people will see this and we can open up a conversation. Because getting into, I suppose, one of the intentions around this is to build community. I think that community is something that's very strained in the Western world, in the modern world. I think it's something that humanity had a lot more deeper connection with in earlier segments of our history than we do now. I think now we are very separated and divided. And so I just feel really called to kind of beacon into my lighthouse or like beam my light as a lighthouse or something, doing this from my heart. I don't know, whatever we want to call it. Um, so I think that I have a unique set of skills and gifts that were given to me that I feel really called to share. Um, so yeah, I think that I'm uh you know hopefully anyways, a good candidate to hold the space for a community. Um, but that comes after a really long journey of looking very deeply into myself to seek to understand who I really am and seek to understand my nature as a human being, as a soul, um, and to understand truth. And so that's required me to look at all untruth within my beingness and to kind of purify that, really, is what my journey has been. And so I feel like on my end, I have completed at least the preliminary requirements of feeling worthy to do this work out loud and publicly, despite that feeling kind of terrifying and um, challenging. So, anyways, that was a little bit of a tangent, and I didn't necessarily think it was going in that direction, but it did. So, I want to talk a little bit more like fun, like in a more fun energy, just kind of like pips and things about Renata. But that's the thing. I'm very multi-dimensional, very multifaceted. So there's like, you're probably not gonna get bored. You might get annoyed with my long tangents and seemingly endless ability to lose my train of thought. But see, look, I just did just there, just now. Not even kidding. So, let's talk about this channel for a second and what more of my intentions are around this channel. So, first and foremost, my intention is that you leave watching a video with me. You leave having a hangout session with me. That's one on its own. Like I want it to feel like a hangout session. Like we're sitting around a campfire or we're sitting on the couch or we're sitting on the porch and we're just talking, just being real, just telling it like it is, telling what's on our heart, being allowed to be fully human without fear of being judged. But I want you to feel seen and not alone. I want you to feel uplifted and supported. I want you to feel empowered. I want you to feel whatever you need to feel that is right for you in the moment that allows you to love yourself more, laugh more, feel relief, really whatever you need. It's yes, I want these things, but at the same time, it's really important that you just have your own experience and whatever that experience is. Maybe even hate, right? Maybe even you're like, who is this chick? I do not like her. Okay, okay. If that's the role I'm playing in your story, then okay. That's welcome too. Whatever, I want you to have the experience that you want to have. I My goal here is to share a body of work that I have been effectively channeling since 2022. What that body of work really represents is moving from survival consciousness to creator consciousness. Another way I like to say that is moving from self-abandonment to self-trust, or really some like pretty deep form of self-realization. This is all under the umbrella really of unconditional love. So what my journey is going to be here is disseminating in as organized as a way as I can this like body of work, this like process, I suppose, or articulation of a process, uh, to again facilitate moving levels of consciousness or layers of consciousness from one pole to another pole, or from one dimension to another dimension. And so it's going to be a lot of talking about consciousness, talking about energy, talking about the metaphysical, talking about um, mental health, talking about emotional health, talking about the human experience of all of this, talking about duality and the divine paradox that exists by virtue of being in human form. To talk about whatever is coming through in the present moment. Talk about presence, talk about time and what time is and how time is actually just a human construct. Like that's not like a woo-woo thing. That's like a think about it for a second thing. You can only experience anything right now. Only in your imagination can you think of the past. Only in your memory. Only in your head. Only in your head can you think about the future. You can only ever live right now. But anyways, this is the intro, so whew, we're gonna calm down. All right, let's bring it back up to I really wanted to start with this, but whatever. Maybe I needed to go like into the depths, but also the broadness to paint a picture first of me. Okay, but I want to do like the I'm Nata, I'm a blah, blah, blah. So, for the sake of having labels and playing around with that kind of stuff, I'm a Pisces in astrology. In human design, I am a projector, a mental projector, although I always forget my numbers. I think, oh man, I better not. I cannot even remember. I'd have to look it up. Maybe I'll put it in the comments. I will. Anyways, some sort of mental projector. Um, what else about me? I have a Leo rising, so I feel like I'm stepping into that with this YouTube channel. I don't really know. But yeah, I really feel very aligned with Piscean energy. I feel the depth. I am obsessed with water. I am a fish. I live 10 minutes from the ocean by the grace of God. Um, yeah, so I live in Florida, with a wonderful, amazing, elderly Greek man who, yeah, has just been an incredible blessing. Um, and that I just like met randomly. So that's like a whole story on its own. But oh man, yeah, I gotta do story time next. Oh shoot, that's gonna be fun. Okay. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay. Sorry. Carried away. Sorry, not sorry. Ugh, I don't want to say that. This is me. This is how I talk in real life. Ask my friends. Um, okay. So Pisces, projector, what else? Oh, okay. So let's talk about my training and my background. Okay. So I initially really quickly, I'm very deeply spiritual now, but I didn't really start off that way. So in my childhood, my mother and her parents were very deeply Catholic. And so I have gone through confirmation and uh like been baptized when I was a child. And then my dad was one that starts with like a B. Is it Baptist? I don't know, was more in the Christian side than the Catholic side. Um, Either way, by the time I was preteen, I basically wrote God off because I was like, Nothing about what you're teaching me about this creature or about this makes sense or feels true." And so I basically wrote off religion and wrote off God and just lived my life, survived, went deeply into the human experience of survival and the 3D. And then, da, 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 I was like 28, right? Going through my Saturn return. And I, where am I going with this? I hope man, we're sorry, it's going to be a little tangential. Again, sorry, not sorry, because that's going to happen. So if you're going to stick around, you should know that I'm very tangential. So religious, dark night of the soul. Yeah, so I was like around 28. I got married to a man that I met in an online dating thing after dating for like 6 months. We eloped in Montana. Uh, yeah, I grew up in Washington State, in Spokane, Washington. So that's where I've like spent most of my life prior to 6 months before COVID. So it was Labor Day weekend 2019. I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and I've been on the East Coast ever since. Um, so yeah, because I was getting to my training. That's right. Okay, we're gonna hold that. Okay. Okay. So I was 28. It was like 2018. I was 27 or 28. And so I got married to him New Year's Eve of 2019. So it was like 2018 into 20, like New Year's Eve 2018 into New Year's Day 2019. And So we eloped in a courthouse, and 3 weeks later, my mom died. That marriage was incredibly unhealthy and very damaging to my psyche and my sense of self. And it was emotionally abusive and mentally abusive. And many times I wished that it would have been physically abusive because it would have been easier to walk away, I think, if it could be seen, if the abuse could be seen. And it's not about, I hope that doesn't come across to anyone. Like, it's not like there's a hierarchy of abuse. I'm not saying that one is better or the other. That's just my experience. It's just, I think that I was so lost in the maze of the labyrinth of reality, of being in a distorted reality, in a very, very unhealthy and unnatural reality. Um, where is it going with that? I don't know. But just like very difficult. So we moved and then we moved to Charlotte together. So my mom died in January of 2019. Labor Day of 2019, my ex-husband and I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina together, and we were going to do real estate together. But the state of our marriage was so bad that, like, man, whew, it really affected our professional life. And then COVID happened. And so then that just like on top of being basically 3,000 miles from home and our family, like it was just horrendous. Um, and so that lasted until um 2020, 2021. Yeah, like the end of 2020, because then it was in like December of 2020 that he moved back. Uh, and we got a divorce in 2021. Right after he left and moved back to Idaho, like not right after, I think it was like 3 months out, 3 or 4 months after my dog died. And that broke me. Like going through the marriage and going through like an extremely emotionally and mentally abusive marriage that also financially abusive. Um, that was difficult. That was very hard. That took me down. That erased my sense of self. Losing my dog, I was done. Like, like, okay, I'm done. Like, I quit. Like, so I was in that place. And in that place, I basically started talking to God and I said, what the actual fuck? What the actual fuck? This is bullshit. I do not consent. You took my daughter. You took my baby. Everything else, fine. But what is this? She's all I had. All I had. I'm 3,000 miles from home. We're still technically in COVID. This is early 2021. And I just, I felt so alone. Anyways, so I was like, listen, if you're here and you're real and whatever any of this shit is not bullshit and it's not wrong and it's not whatever, then I need you to start being who at least some aspects of religion and these teachings and whatever has to say, and that's that you're a loving, good, willing God. So show it to me because I haven't seen it. I saw it in my dog, and I see it in people, and then I see the way that they act and treat other people. And it's very confusing for me because most of the time, even though I can see their heart and soul, they don't act in alignment with their heart and soul. I didn't act in alignment with my heart and soul. So that began my spiritual seeking journey. I was not, a lot of people that I look up to, I've always compared myself to because a lot of like really renowned teachers remember their gifts and remember who they are very early on. Like reading their books, they're like, yeah, I had gifts when I was 3 years old and my mom, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, must be nice. Like, I judged and compared myself to that for a very long time because I'm like, that is not my experience at all. And so my experience was like taking me to a very painful point away from all like anything that was loving and good. And that's where I started angrily being like, WTF. And so at that point, I didn't have a faith that I was trying to prove. I was just purely, genuinely seeking to understand what was going on because there was an aspect of me that told me not to pull the trigger. So when I really wanted to, when I really, really, really did not want to be here, which actually has been a theme throughout my whole life, but hasn't ever gotten to that point of like, oh, she's gonna do it. Like, so I know I'm laughing. I'm laughing now because I'm on the other side of it, because I've taken that journey and that was many, many, many years ago, and I'm healed from it. And so it's not so serious to me now. And actually it's given me a different perspective and relationship to death than I had before. And so that's a whole other conversation in video. But I just want people to understand I'm not making light of the concept of, I'm afraid to say that S word because I don't want it to like trigger things. Um, but anyways, so, uh, gosh dang it. Okay. Spiritual seeking. I started effectively being given a trail of breadcrumbs to follow. And that trail of breadcrumbs, so this is where we're coming back into like, who am I professionally? Um, or like, what is my training? What is my everything that is like, oh yes, I'm going to sit here and have a YouTube thing and say that I'm going to teach you things and say that I have a body of work. Well, like, what qualifies me of having this body of work, you might ask. We're getting there. So I have explored as a spiritual seeker many things. So I think beginning, it started with I'll just say Jen Sincero and You Are a Badass. That was before this like Dark Night of the Soul. But from a personal development, because that's really where this started, she was like a very influential figure early on. And of course, Tony Robbins was like in there too, like pre Renata's Dark Knight, first Dark Night of the Soul. Um, because there have been many, or at least one more than that, like big one. But started with Jen Sincero. Then it went to Gabby Bernstein. Then it went to Joe Dispenza, Wayne Dyer, Louise Hayes, exploring their ideas. So more spiritual, new age, not religious, okay? Then I started really deep diving on Gaia. So then I started getting into the esoterics, like Rosicrucianism, Hermeticism, um, things like mystery schools, understanding the laws of the universe from those perspectives, looking into like Egyptian mythology, I guess you could say it, and the idea of gods and goddesses. And this led me into a lot of Hindu philosophy, meditation. These are my prayer beads. That's like a different thing. That this is comes from a Hare Krishna. Um, so I've Buddhism, um, Shinto, mm, nature, plant medicine, um, Dr. Hawkins and the map of consciousness and looking at consciousness and studying consciousness. And I started getting really, really, really deep into channelers. I have been more drawn to channeling than to anything else. Wendy Kennedy, Tom Kenyon, Lisa Royal Holt, Bashar, Abraham Hicks have all been instrumental in my journey, and in my continued understanding. So then this opens us up to the stars, right? And our galactic family, the Pleiadians, the Sirians, the Arcturians, the Essassani, the Zeta Reticuli, or the Greys. It through that also, like the fairies, the elven frequencies, the elven kingdom, the plants. Oh, my heart. Yeah. It, my spiritual exploration has been vast. And professionally, so okay, so we're getting to the professionally, right? Many years later. No, not literally many years later, just like I'm using years as a drastic exaggeration of how long it's taken me to like get to here I am. Here's what I do. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So again, I started not so much on the spiritual side. I started with coaching because when I was going through my very difficult marriage that ended in divorce, uh, I was looking for answers basically everywhere of like how to turn the marriage around, how to work on myself so that my marriage could be better. And so I went to a networking event. It wasn't a networking event. It was a workshop. I think around how to create your life. And I think that that seed again was planted, I think, by Jen Sincero. I don't really know exactly, but um it had caught my interest. And so I ended up becoming a client of hers, and she was effectively a life coach in life design, and you can create your own reality. It's like kind of like new age perspective of it. And I was like, oh my gosh. this is so interesting. So I was immediately deeply resonant with that work because through that work, I started understanding a lot more about myself and it started making sense immediately. And I was like, wow, I'm very drawn to this work. This is very important work. I want to do this. Like, I don't want, at the time I was doing real estate and I was like, that's not fulfilling for me. That doesn't light me up. The reason I got into it was, again, I have an entrepreneurial, like, I don't know, just I value sovereignty. Okay. Like I want that for myself. I want that for everyone. And so real estate for me represented also I love interior design. So I really 1,000% wanted to get into like we're gonna flip houses and get to design them and they're gonna be beautiful and make sense and whatever. But really the reason was because you have unlimited earning potential in real estate. And I wanted to flip houses. I believe in real estate. I owned a house at the time. Um, and I'm a big I just love it. And so I was like, that's going to be a nice pathway to be an entrepreneur and be able to have an unlimited source of income and work for myself. So, anyways, that's what I was doing at the time. But it was like this soul piece and this like what I actually came here to do piece was missing from that. So, in being a client of coaching first, I was so blown away that I was like, "Yep, I need to do this." And so I signed up for um a school called Coach U with like the letter U, which is kind of a spin-off of um Thomas Leonard. Like Thomas Leonard created this school, and Thomas Leonard also like created or co-created the International Coaching Federation, which coaching is not regulated in the same way that therapy and psychiatry is. And so there's like you could go online and sign up for like a 3-day coaching course and become a certified coach. Like there's not really a governing body, but if there were, it would be the ICF. And so I chose a school that was really closely linked to that because I wanted to be learning and moving in the most comprehensive and ethically and like full way. And so that's where I did my coach training. After I did my coach training, I the next piece of training, I was doing coaching for a while, just like normal coaching. Um, and then as I continued my spiritual journey and I was meditating more and just learning more, I started experiencing having a lot of energy in my hands when I would meditate. And I didn't know what that was. I literally went on Reddit and was like, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. Can someone tell me like what this is? And a lot of people were like, you should check out Reiki. So I started checking out Reiki and I experienced getting Reiki from someone, and then I decided to become a Reiki practitioner and eventually a Reiki master. And so I was doing that for a while. I kind of like took a break from the coaching and was like, well, maybe I'll go more in the energy healing thing. And so started doing that, and it still wasn't feeling fully aligned. I wasn't lighting up about it. It was nice to be in the healing capacity, but it felt very one-dimensional. People were coming in and we would have a conversation a little bit about what was going on with them. And then I would administer, we would do the Reiki session and then they would go on their way. and it was very transactional, and it didn't feel like we were weaving in understanding why they needed the Reiki in the first place, why they felt like they needed to come and be adjusted and they were out of alignment or something was missing that they, for some reason, didn't have access to themselves. And so they needed me to be there. Like, why is that? Right. And so that piece wasn't being addressed. And so I kind of paused that, did some odd jobs, and then got into mental health coaching. And I loved that at first. And then I started feeling kind of the same way. Okay, this is great. Now we're working at, now instead of only working at the energetic level, now we're working at the mental level. This feels a little bit more comprehensive. But now we're not talking about the energetic level because the place where I was working really valued evidence-based and the scientific piece, and Reiki is not evidence-based. Reiki is more in the spiritual realm, more in the energetic realm, and that's not where science has taken us yet in terms of understanding health and harmony and coherence in the body and understanding us as energetic beings. And so then I was working at the mental plane. I'm like, okay, this is great. But then that also became one dimensional. So I'm like, well, energetically, only working as an energy healer feels one dimensional. Only working on the mental plane as a mental health coach feels one dimensional. I need a bigger box. I need more space because we're not hitting on all aspects of this. And not to mention that when we're working on the mental plane, then we're also not working somatically. And so this was the last piece to come online for me because again, going back to, I'm a mental projector. I love the mind. I love the mind candy. I love learning. I love the intellect. And so I am drawn more to that than I am to being in the body. I'm not a yoga instructor. Maybe one day I will be, but it's of all my trainings, that has not been one of them. But I understand very deeply now, again, through my own experience, how important the body is, how it holds trauma, how it holds the memory there, how it holds our reaction in the present because it remembers the past trauma, and how that links into the energy and the mental component of it and how they all work together as one cohesive being. And so that's where I haven't gone into this professionally, but that's where, again, experientially, I really started understanding. And intellectually, I did understand also because that was a part of my study, also understanding the polyvagal theory. And what's his name? Stephen Porges? Is that who has the polyvagal theory? I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. Um, but under just and also like the body keeps the score, all that kind of stuff. And so understanding and then understanding the nervous system and like our window of tolerance and understanding fight or flight. And part of that is also Joe Dispenza's work. And so I understand the somatic aspect of it too. And so, yeah, so also just throwing this in there as we fast forward at the beginning of 2025, I was like, okay, I am ready to dive fully into myself as a spiritual person and a spiritual identity first. And doing that professionally felt, this was like as I was feeling tension working only in the mental health capacity. Um, I was like, I need to venture more into this. At the beginning of 2025, I signed up for a year-long Learn to Channel class with Lisa Royal Holt, and I also signed up for Akashic Records training with Bryn DePel. So I did both of those classes simultaneously. One was only 6 weeks, the other one was like the whole year. Um, but I also have training in those. So I'm also a channel and an Akashic Records reader. So, whew, Lord. So that leads us to this moment and why I'm creating this channel and why this channel is here. Because it is time for me to, again, share this body of work, which is these teachings of how to unionize and harmonize one's being, their mind, body, and soul, how to understand the way that they function as an energetic being, understand their energy, and understand the functionality of the energy in our energetic world, in our vibrational world, how to have the mental health component, how to communicate in relationships, how to resolve conflict, how to um, set boundaries, how to respect yourself and honor and love yourself enough to express those boundaries and express one's needs. How to understand the process of creation and how thoughts create our reality and how our beliefs create our reality and how our beliefs create our self-perception and our self-identity and how that shapes our reality and our life experience. And I'm very lit up about it. I'm very excited about it. I feel like I'm exactly where I need to be. I feel the unicorn magic. I have so many fun stories to share that are about the magic that has been my life and the journey of getting to this point. And that's another part of what this channel is going to be about, is literally just like my video journal, my vlog. I'm vlogging it up, y'all. Um, that will be a portion. Because again, I'm a big proponent of sharing wholly and truly what it is that I'm experiencing and how it is that I am walking in integrity or not with the work that I have been asked to share. And I value integrity very deeply, very much. And so this work is really constantly calling me to ask myself if I'm in alignment with my own truth and my own work. And so that certainly is something you should know, is that I will always endeavor to be in alignment with my truth. And I'm not promising that I will be perfect, because sometimes I catch myself unknowingly or unconsciously, in hindsight, of course, not being in alignment. And most of the time, that's in a relationship to myself. But the impact of that sometimes can impact, of course, my relationships and my circumstance and yeah, my experience. And so I'm also learning in real time how to walk in alignment with this work. And I think that's why the anecdotal component of it, or the like soul vlog component of it, or whatever we're gonna call it, the Nata vlog, that's definitely what we're calling it, the Nata vlog. Um, that is so that you can see that I'm walking this journey with you and that you're not alone. And that as long as we are together and united and looking out for one another and caring for one another and being truly loving to one another, there's always hope. And we can create a collective experience of being a human that is better than one we've seen so far. So I look forward to doing that with you. Please share your thoughts. Please introduce yourself if you want to. Like, please share ideas. I really want to create an engaging community. I don't want this isn't about like me sitting on a pedestal or being a guru or being an expert or being any like I'm just here. I'm just me. I have some skills, I have some gifts, I have some unique things that are, that I've done to have my unique experiences, but that doesn't mean that it's better than anyone else's. It doesn't mean that I'm an authority on your life. It doesn't mean anything other than I'm just here talking and sharing and dancing with life and with my fellow human brothers and sisters. So I think I'm going to end this now. Thank you for witnessing me and my journey. I hope to hear from you. I hope to see you around. So much blessings and joy and lightness and truth and ease to you. I love you.